Stugotz here for Upside. Like I've been telling you for a while now, if you travel for business, stop wasting time pricing your flights and hotels at the same old sites you used to go to. The only site you need is Upside.com. It's quick and easy for Upside to show you the exact flights you're looking for and the big-name hotels you want to stay at. You can buy them separately or bundle them together. That's what I do. You can even add a ride. And by bundling 2 or more selections, you'll experience the real magic of using Upside. See, the more you bundle, the more you save. The bigger the gift card you receive to places like Amazon.com every time you buy a business travel package using Upside. And their expert navigators are always available 24/7 through phone, chat, social, and email to help anytime before, during, and after your business trip to make sure it goes smoothly. Upside's the real deal for buying your business trips. You got to give them a try. And right now, when you use promo code Dan, you are guaranteed to get at least a $100 Amazon.com gift card on your package purchase. That's code Dan to get a $100 gift card free. Upside.com, the better way to buy business travel. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
What if I told you some stories you need to hear to believe?
Everywhere you went, Dan and Dave, Dan and Dave.
And that's these 2 athletes that are going to go to the Olympics this year, and it's going to be settled in Barcelona.
When Reebok approached Dave and I, the first thing both of us said, neither one of us are on this team yet.
The thought never, ever crossed my mind that Dan nor Dave would not make that Olympic team.
The all-new 30 for 30 podcast. Subscribe now on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
30 for 30 podcast is presented by Mini. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the new Mini Countryman, the biggest Mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the new Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all 4, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. No matter what story you're chasing, the new Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I just saw on the television the center fielder for the Milwaukee Brewers, the way that he won the game yesterday. Kean Broxton, I believe his name. He went over the wall. Last play of the game, brought a home run back, and it's a game-ending catch where you're stealing a home run. And I've got to imagine that feels as good or better than the hit that wins the game.
A walk-off homer?
A walk-off. I think the walk-off homer might be the only thing that feels better than that. But a walk-off single I don't think feels as good as that. If you see the video of him climb the fence, grab the ball, and then he's feeling himself. The last time I remember seeing something like that was Robert Horry. You remember when Robert Horry hit the shot? Shaq, I think, batted it out,
yes.
Hit the shot.
Against Sacramento.
But he stood at half court just nodding his head. I think he had his arms folded, just nodding his head and waited for everyone in the celebration to come to him. Broxton when he caught the ball, he comes back over the fence with the ball. The pitcher's yelling, bleep, yeah. And he's just asking the crowd for noise because he knows he just won the game. I can't imagine a lot in that sport could possibly feel better than that.
No, and made to feel better by the fact that he did it against the Cardinals. It was a close game, 6-5, and the Cardinals right on their heels. Both those teams contending for the second NL wild card.
And it was important on top of everything else for their chances. Something got glossed over here in the last segment that we did. We do a local hour here before we do the national show. And in the last segment, this is what happened. We had 3 people on. We determined what Marty Smith has in his hair.
Mm-hmm.
He told us everything that he puts in his hair because we just saw him on television on the back of a pickup truck in Tuscaloosa, and he was going 35 miles an hour and his hair wasn't moving.
It's American Crew Firm Styling Gel. It's like $25 a pop, man. It's expensive stuff.
Okay, so, yeah, and he's on the track to stardom, so he can afford it. But one of the things that happened in that segment, and it just gets glossed over, and I think it's worth celebrating as football starts again here tonight with some college football games. I saw a bunch of football players from the Big Ten walking down 49th Street in New York. It looked weird. They need to be in college places. 49th Street, it was cheerleaders. Sis Boom Ba doesn't work on the streets of New York.
No, it does not.
It was weird. The whole video was weird. Big Ten in New York walking down 49th Street. I'm like, none of those people belong there, regardless. Lost my train of thought again. It's happened 3 times today.
Uh-oh.
I don't know whether it's aging or medication, but we got to keep track of it. All so right. In the last segment, we talked to 2 reporters from the Sun Sentinel because I get blamed for breaking the Pell Grant story that hurt the University of Miami program. But what got lost in that entire segment, it was as we were talking to Dave Hyde and Randy Mel, formerly of the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel, Randy formerly, Dave Hyde still of the Sun Sentinel, is as we're trying to determine who broke the Pell Grant story that was a financial scandal for the University of Miami, I'm sitting here saying, no. I reported the story where the guys were outside the windows watching their teammates having sex. Dave Hyde comes on. He's like, no. I was reporting the story where Warren Sapp, the failed drug tests with Dennis Erickson. And then Randy Mel is saying, I was talking to the financial aid advisor who had $100 a week cocaine habit and was using fraudulent financial aid to get money from the government to fuel his cocaine habit.
Miss those days.
I was just going to say that. It was amazing. Like, wait, all of that? Like, Alabama's too clean. Let's go. Dirty up, Alabama. Kick everybody's butt. Do it the way Miami did. Tell them you're going to kick their butt, then remind them that you kicked their butt, and then make America mad with all your behavior off the field.
Even USC was boring. Oh, somebody got a house? Get out of here.
Everyone pales in comparison to what UM did back then. Everyone.
I'm just saying, Mississippi tried to get in the game.
They did.
They tried to get in the cheating game.
Tried. Louisville basketball, maybe the closest thing.
Hugh Freeze, you're an amateur. Louisville basketball is pretty good. But how much better would Alabama be? Put this on the poll.
How much better could they be?
Can they be?
No. I don't know. No. I don't mean as a no. I don't mean as a football team. I mean as a team that's doing that and misbehaving.
Oh, you mean
like,
yeah. Okay, yes, it's a story.
Are you kidding me?
Far more entertaining.
Oh,
yes.
Are you kidding me? How much fun would that be to watch that team lose the championship on the last second last year? Like, if they were that and Jimmy Johnson, if Nick Saban coached with his middle fingers up.
Yeah, it'd be a lot more fun. Never going to happen, but would be a lot more fun.
Why never going to happen?
Nick Saban ain't doing that.
It might not happen in Alabama.
It could happen somewhere else.
We can long for the day. Anyway, college football's back.
All right.
So just to be clear, how much better would Alabama be if
they had all the scandals?
Okay.
Because, I mean, among the impressive things on Alabama's resume is that they're doing all that in a way that's remarkably clean in a sport that's not. Because they're beating the cheaters without cheating.
They did lose to Auburn that one year when Auburn was pretty close to Hugh Freeze in it.
Yep. I mean, Gene Chizik did do it right, man. He won a championship, and that's it. Yeah.
There'll be a 30 for 30 on that.
Man, but think about this for a second. Think about this for a second. As it relates to Alabama, what an incredible gift Alabama has in this. College recruiter X, who's trying to get top guy from Alabama, is offering whatever it is that gets offered at the height of college corruption. You know, Marcus Dupree told us an oil well. I've told you the story of a suitcase full of watches. So you go into the living room of top prospect to get him with your cheating ways. And then Nick Saban comes in, and all he's got to do is by being there, your kid's got a better chance of ending up in the pros. And that beats in recruiting all the cheating. What he's built there, what he's got there, which it didn't work for him in the pros because he had a salary cap and he couldn't just get all the best players. Now he can get all the best players, even amid cheaters. Basically, Nick Saban is Lance Armstrong if he had been clean. Lance Armstrong beating all the cheaters if Lance Armstrong had been clean. Because, man, I don't know what's more impressive. I really don't know what's more impressive, that they've built it that way or that they've built it that way and that they don't get into trouble.
Oh, I think it's building it that way without getting into trouble. 100%.
It's just crazy.
That conference was insane with scandals. Everybody trying to beat them. And they've gotten away with a clean program.
He rebuilt it, Dan, in 3 seasons. Usually when that happened at USC, where they were down for a while, Pete Carroll came in, he built it back up, they got into trouble, Pete Carroll got out of town, Nick Saban came there and built it back in 3 seasons. They won a national championship his 3rd season, undefeated at Alabama.
Well, what happens, whether Florida's winning all the championships while getting a bunch of guys arrested, whether it's FSU spending 15 years in the top 5 and getting into a lot of trouble with Bobby Bowden, what tends to happen here is when you win, we descend upon you with our microscopes. And when we look at any program that way, and if we're looking more at the best ones that way, we're going to find more. But here we are, Marty Smith's rolling through the streets of Tuscaloosa on the back of a truck. And there ain't reporters digging on that program that are finding anything. And Nick Saban gets to walk into the house and offer you that. Hey, I've got a better chance of getting you the pros. And who else is doing it clean like us? Who else is doing it excellent and clean? Hell, look at what happened at even Penn State.
Right.
That's hard to do, man. In fact, I can't think of a whole lot of people outside of the Wooden Age who have done it. I'm talking about John Wooden Age.
Has Coach K gotten it? Dean Smith didn't get into any trouble, I don't think.
Well, I was talking about college football.
You said John Wooden, so I thought you were just...
Yeah, my bad. I was talking about college football in that there are certain soul-selling sacrifices that have to be made sometimes, whether it's academics or whether it's a type of player who might be violent that you wouldn't allow on campus otherwise, but you allow him on your football field because he helps you win. And football has more of that spilling over the sidelines than basketball does. But you're right. Yes, Duke did it. Right. Dean Smith has done it. It's just very hard to do.
Trying to think college football, though. College football programs. Because you're right. We didn't find out till many years later, but Paterno and Sandusky and that whole thing, and everyone kind of held them up as...
It's just really hard to keep... it's really hard to keep all of the dirt out of the news.
Baylor is a Baptist university.
Yeah, look at that.
They're supposed to hold themselves to a higher moral code. Mm-hmm. They came out of nowhere. We start poking around. Good God.
Speaking of religion, Mike, do you feel alone with your Joel Osteen take? Do you feel alone with Mike Ryan? Felt bad for Joel Osteen. He said that Joel Osteen, the preacher in Houston, he said he was at the wrong end of a witch hunt. And, man, it's been funny to watch. Well, funny's the wrong word. Just him on television wearing various shades of makeup, looking worse than he does on Sundays every time. And him trying to defend himself because we are holding the rich religious person or the person who's made his money off of religion. We are absolutely holding him to a higher standard, demanding that he opens the doors to his church. And he's now on a PR tour trying to say, hey, I wasn't keeping people out. But it would appear that he was indeed keeping people out.
Obviously, missteps. Obviously, terrible judgment at times. Just blocking that dude on Twitter that asked the question, and that became a thing. But the whole fervor to bring down Joel Osteen, I'm just sort of confused by it. It's bizarre to me.
Mike,
what's bizarre about it?
You should not be confused about that. There's
a lot of hypocrisy going on with it. And now you have entities like Slate saying Joel Osteen's a reason why is responsible for the fall of religion in America. Like, let's get a grip.
Well, there is a hostility toward the religious in America that the religious feel, and I don't blame the religious for feeling bitter about how attacked they are. So, yeah. When you say get a grip, though, on have some perspective, didn't we just play the promo yesterday of some person whose name I never have heard of before saying boxing goes to sleep forever if Conor McGregor wins? Like, we do that one all the time with these grand proclamations that are absolute.
Myron Metcalf,
yeah.
I think.
I'm not sure. Okay.
I'm on it.
Don't get on it. It's unnecessary.
Oh, I'm already there.
No, it's not. I don't want to do Myron Metcalf talk.
All right. It's Myron Metcalf.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. Just confirming it for you.
All right. Good work this segment.
You got it. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. You can save hundreds on your car, business, or recreational vehicle insurance from a local independent agent. Go to Progressive.com today. Now, that's Progressive. Here's your SportsCenter update. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at over there?
Good work this segment. You got it. You accepting what was clearly a sarcastic insult as a compliment is very you.
Take them when I can get them.
Dan Le Batard.
I feel like everything we just did was racially insensitive, and I'm good with it.
Stugotz.
It is deadline day.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texture writes in, I'm on the West Coast, woke up early to hear Dan's list of divas. Speak on it. This was yesterday. We were talking about divas, trying to identify who's a diva. Is J-Lo a diva? I did not make a list of divas, but perhaps we can. Mike Ryan was very good at this yesterday, but he's a music snob, so he's only allowed to talk about these things in the voice of Mel Kiper Jr., so maybe he'll give us a list of divas in a second as Mel Kiper Jr. But before we get to that, a tweeter writes in, Stugotz, I think you mean the Lions, not Matt Stafford. It's a team game. I'm still getting this the last couple of days because I'm talking about Stafford. I'm just curious about this. What do you do with this? And I'm not even going to the racial place here.
All right. This is some sort of crusade you've created against Matthew Stafford.
But explain this to me. Just explain this part to me.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick, if you believe he's not in the league for reasons that have to do with merit, people point to the San Francisco 49ers, how terrible they were, and that they lost. They lost a lot last year. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that 49ers team, and they had a whole bunch of people quitting and not a lot of skill talent. That was a bad team. They couldn't stop anybody on defense. It was simply a bad team. But in the case of Colin Kaepernick, you guys are willing to tell me that the 49ers lost because of Colin Kaepernick. Matthew Stafford has a losing record in his career. He's 51-59 in his career.
Right.
How is it that Colin Kaepernick can be in a place where when he loses, it's his fault, but Matthew Stafford could be in a place where when he loses, it's not his fault?
I mean, I guess it's a fair point. Personally, I haven't blamed Colin Kaepernick, and I haven't heard too many people say the Niners were bad because of Colin Kaepernick last year. I just didn't hear that. Kaepernick had his best season last year.
Well, it wasn't his best season, but he was good. It wasn't his best season.
All right, he was really, really good.
He was fine. He wasn't really, really good. He was fine.
I don't know. I mean, I'm reading.
He wasn't really, really good.
Well, Kean Fahey, who we love, who's our football expert, did a quarterback piece, and he is saying that Kaepernick had his best season in the NFL last year. I'm reading it right here.
Please pull up the box score to the Chicago Bears game. For the love of God.
No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do Kaepernick talk again. Okay. And forgive me for doing this. In fact, I'm going to eject right now without any more thoughts on the subject.
You did this.
Yes, my fault. Let's go back to Matthew. Let's go back to. Oh, look at it. I've got it. It's stuck in there. Hold on. Let me shake it out. Let's go back to Mel Kiper Jr.'s list of divas. Go ahead. What do you got? What do you do? Are you going to rank them for us? How are you going to do this?
Definitely got my big board out today, Dano. Number 6 on my Diva big board is Adele. Now, I'm a little bit lower on her than most. I think she could have used another year before making the jump, but she undeniably has a powerful voice that can really move the sleds. Some teams concerned with their conditioning. I think it works for her. As high of a ceiling as anybody on my board.
Really? Okay. Really? That's number 6. That's a great list you've put together there. Adele's number 6, but yes, 5 now.
Number 5 on my board is Rihanna. This powerhouse burst on the scene in 2005 with Ponder Replay. Was definitely yelling, "Come, Mr. DJ." Turn the music up ever since. Packing some serious hardware with 193 awards. We're talking Grammy, VMA, Billboard, BET, Doak Walker, Teen Choice. You can definitely consider me a member of the Riri Navy.
Really? I would not have had Mel Kiper as part of the Riri Navy. I did not know that Riri had a Navy.
Most divas have an army. She says she has a navy.
Okay, very good.
I'm guessing it's because she played a sailor in that terrible movie Battleship.
Number 4, Mel Kiper's list of divas. His big board is out today.
Number 4 on my diva big board is a legendary Kim Carnes. Now, a little bit longer in the tooth at 72 years old, but this 2-time Grammy winner definitely has all the intangibles. You talk about a Betty Davis eyes, a sneaky commercial hit that stays with you just like her distinct raspy voice.
I mean, this is a bad list. It's a bad list. I like that we're doing it, but that can't be number 4.
Veteran leadership from Kim Carnes.
Okay, that can't be. Number 3. Number 3
on my list is Alicia Keys. This girl is on fire.
Number 2 on your list of Mel Kiper's list of divas.
Number 2, definitely on my diva big board is Whitney Houston. Definitely been going back and forth on this one throughout the process. Dan certainly has all the tools. You talk about an "I Will Always Love You," arguably the greatest ballad of all time, but ultimately I couldn't escape the off-the-field concerns. Hanging around with a shady group. Dan, this has a lot of team executives a little nervous, a little gun-shy to pull the trigger on Whitney Houston.
He's dead!
That would be an off-the-field concern, Dan.
I don't understand this list. No. Number one, dead person's on the list now. I thought we were just... Number one, ranking of divas. Mel Kiper's greatest diva in the history of divaness.
Number one, Beyonce Knowles, 5'7", 137 pounds, extremely confident in her abilities. Powerful voice, incredible agility, has proven she can be part of a team, but also go out on her own and win you a game. Astonishing lower body strength, too. She could probably squat a cement truck, Dano. Consider me a loud and proud member of the Beehive. She's overcome a lot of adversity, weak teammates, lack of roster continuity, pregnancies, Becky with the good hair, displayed incredible resiliency. There's a reason she's bae.
Make me a bicycle, clown.
It's amazing that you did that off the top of your head that way. Thanks to our friends at Zebra. That's why you're one of the best 40, under 40.
Yeah.
Behind-the-scenes executives in the entire sports industry, according to the BigLead.com. ESPN PR loves those BigLead.com stories. Gobbles them up. Mike's getting congratulations from every orifice of ESPN.
Get me off of these email chains.
Congratulations, Mike. You won a blog award. You're young and in the media.
I'm just not 40.
You could have been all the same things you are, and if you were 41, you would have been disqualified.
Don Le Batard.
Y'all, facts and info.
Ripe cranberries will bounce like rubber balls.
What?
Okay. I don't think that is an answer to anything that I was asking, but okay. Very good. So you're telling me that a ripe cranberry will bounce crazy, like if you throw it really hard, it'll ricochet all over your room.
Stugotz.
I don't believe that. That's fake news. Fake news. Sad. Fake news.
It's a fact, Dan.
A fat?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show, up here via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Celtics agreed to send a 2020 second-round draft pick along with Isaiah Thomas to the Cavs for Kyrie Irving to complete a trade that has been in limbo for a week, dummies. Immediately after being cut by the Browns, cornerback Joe Hayden was signed to a deal with the Steelers worth $27 million over the next 3 years. And finally, Prince's sister claims that his favorite color was actually orange. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put on the poll. Would it be upsetting to you if Prince's sister was telling the truth and his favorite color was orange? I can't help but think, every time I see Carlos Boozer, I talk to him about this. The idea that Carlos Boozer rented out his place to Prince and then was in a lawsuit with him because Prince put a bunch of purple hair salons in a rented place needs to be a 30 for 30.
That's the next big one.
It's just the idea that all of it, that just Prince, anything Prince and Carlos Boozer related. I do not want to be the guy, Stugotz, who does not enjoy the success of his teammates. So that last segment by Mel Kiper Jr. was great.
Yep.
And we really enjoyed it.
Yes.
However, it is deeply offensive to me, deeply offensive that Mariah Carey and Diana Ross are not on this list. It's just a really flawed diva list.
Not just to you, to everyone.
It's offensive.
Yes.
I am personally offended that, put it on the poll, Guillermo, should Mariah Carey and Diana Ross be on every person's list of top 6 divas of all time? Of all time.
A little concerned about the strength of schedule, Dan. You got to remember, this is just 1.0. Yeah. This is the first of 75 big boards.
Okay.
They're subject to change.
Speaking of bits, by the way, Stugotz was livid yesterday. The things that happen around here. All right, so Stugotz on Friday. I don't know why we were talking about it. We were talking about Billy Joel's song. Is the title of the song Start the Fire? We didn't start the fire?
We didn't start the fire.
Yeah. Sometimes I get confused by that all the time because very often, what's the most famous song that isn't named what you think it's named? because it's got a lyric in it. We can do this game. This game would be fun for a while, where you think the name of the song is X, but that's not the name of the song. The name of the song is not the lyric that you remember, but is actually something else.
Song number 2 by Blur is a suggestion by Roy, and I think that's a good one because everyone just sings, play that song, woohoo! Play it, woohoo!
Yeah, that song. I don't know the name of it. Right.
Song number 2.
Right, but the name of that song wouldn't be woohoo!
It should be woohoo.
Yeah. So anyway, on Friday, Stugotz is talking about We Didn't Start the Fire. We play some song that we had years ago about pirates. A ridiculous. It's like 20 minutes long. We believe that something that we were working on was stolen by Colin Cowherd. And we can't prove it. And Mike Ryan was working so hard on doing Stugotz's quarterbacking rankings.
We were both working hard.
Well, you weren't working. You weren't working hard. You just all he said is to you was for you to drive home every day listening to that song.
Yeah.
So that because it's difficult to do. And so, Mike, can you explain to the people some of the difficulties that have arisen? Because you've been working on this song for days, just trying to you find Vince Ferragamo's name with something.
In my defense, I did plant the seed, and I did the first 10 quarterbacks. I mean,
yeah, he did the first
just
10.
Pitching in.
He
man.
actually nailed the Vince Ferragamo line. However, it's hard to rhyme a quarterback with the king and I and the catcher in the rye. Polysyllabically, that's a bit of a challenge.
Anybody got anything? How about Mike? How about we send it out to the listeners?
Well, I settled in on the Charlie Fry and Jay Cutler in the Shy.
Well, give them the lyric, and let's see if the listeners can come up with a better lyric than the one that you have. And you need the syllable counts to be right. That's why this has been hard.
Yes.
He's been trying to line up all the syllable counts in order to make the song. And he was going to have Stugotz sing it, which would have taken 7 months.
Nah, I listened to the song all weekend. Mike asked me to. And I did the first 10, and it took me like 2.5 hours, and I gave up. And so then I just sent it over to Bill.
Yeah.
Bill sent it to Mike.
I only got so far. I was like the hook will take care of itself. I know I want to do We Didn't Start the Topic because the whole joke would be his top 5 and it would go on and on.
Right.
It would be a 13-minute song.
Right,
that you would have to
his
fade
top
out
5
of.
would have 100 quarterbacks in it. Correct.
Yeah, so I think it was Aaron Brooks, Trent Green, Jeff George, Derek Carr, Steve Barkowski, Archie Manning, Vince Ferragamo, Jim McMahon, Russell Wilson, Elvis Gerback, Tony Romo, Ron Jaworski, Don Mikowski, Timothy Tebow.
Yeah, see?
Fun.
And it is fun, but it would take Stugotz so long to do that. It would be wonderfully terrible.
But it's been stolen.
Okay, but are we giving up on it, or do we need a fresh lyric? What's the lyric that you need to make rhyme with the syllable count, Mike?
Well, the second line, things start falling apart. Okay, the wheels start coming off around Warren Moon, Big Ben, Danny White, Jake Delhomme, Bart Starr, the Charlie Fry, and Jay Cutler in the Shy, Henry Burris, Drew Brees, New England's got a Brady, Tommy Maddox, David Woodley, Bubby Brister, Sean Hill.
What is the line that you need a lyric for to match up with? Because
right now I'm because I wanted to include Gus Frerotte because it sort of rhymed with. It's really difficult to rhyme with communist bloc. Okay, it's incredibly difficult to rhyme because you need to find a quarterback that does that. So this is what I have for the third verse.
Okay. All right, wait a minute. So this rhymes with communist bloc. This reminds me of that story. I've told you that story, right? Former Dolphin linebacker Morlon Greenwood was a rapper, and they came into the locker room and they told him that there is no word that rhymes with orange. And he said, "That's not true at all. My uniform is orange. I'm up for the challenge." And everybody just stared at him. Like, no, that does not rhyme.
We have a problem here. Texans are saying that Colin's song was from last year, and they just updated it. So he didn't stay.
They added
we
Deshaun Kaiser.
We stole from him.
No!
We.
Oh, me.
No!
Make me a bicycle, clown.
Is it Barbara O'Reilly, the Who song? Where everyone calls it Teenage Wasteland. That would be a good one.
That's an excellent one.
That's fantastic.
I'm going to start the bidding there. Who can beat that? Who can beat that? The Teenage Wasteland is not called Teenage Wasteland by The Who. If you could beat that, have a crack at it. At Le Batard Show on Twitter. We told you about Zebra Pens. Again, their new sponsor. You've come strong. You always come strong when we ask you to come strong. And Zebra's asking you to come strong because they're sponsoring stuff. They support what we do.
I can't believe it. I was blown away. I think the entire show was blown away the other day when I just asked people to go out and support Zebra because they support us. They support Ron McGill, and you guys all went to the store.
Hold on a second.
All right.
Bobby Hoying, Rodney Pete, Klinger, and Esiason, Drunken Miller, Testaverde, Wazoo's Luke Falk.
Communist block is tough. Wazoo's Luke Falk.
But are we still
careful with that name?
Are we still doing this?
Yes.
All right, good.
We're going to
excellent
plow ahead.
Okay.
There are no new ideas, just borrowed and stolen ones.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Dan Le Batard.
Game day bucket, go boom!
Stugotz.
I do like that idea, Brady. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, I need some help here, please, from the team. I feel like I'm about to have a new man crush. Josh Norman was the man crush, and he was supplanted by Aaron Rodgers, the present man crush.
Mm-hmm.
But Le'Veon Bell is charging hard into this discussion. I love that he is spending this holdout double middle fingers. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this, where he's playing with it. He's fooling around with his holdout. Like, this is something, in my time, the holdout has been a really polarizing thing, and the athlete gets crucified, and everybody in the media jumps on him because fans and management and media are all aligned, get the valuable player back on the field, quit being selfish.
Right.
And Le'Veon Bell, did he just come out? This is the part I need help with. Did he just come out with a rap song in which, during his holdout, he just said the price of the brick has gone up? Like, is he talking about the Steelers there? First of all, let's make sure all of this is true. Sometimes I can be fooled by fake news.
He's doing it in response to his teammates. And what he is saying in his rap, which is terrible, by the way, he is saying that his price is $17 million. Because 26 is savage.
Well, you said what?
That's what he said.
You said the rap is awful. I've not heard the rap. I don't trust your judgment on these things.
All right. I mean, you shouldn't trust my judgment. I'm just telling you it wasn't very good.
But what was the tweet that he had? What was the tweet that he had here recently, Mike, in response to, I'm going to find it. First, let's find out if he is indeed rapping about his holdout. I would like to know that. But he is having some fun with the form. You know what I mean? Like, he's not sitting here taking a beating as the holdout. He's saying, look, you guys are going to use up my body. And if you're going to use up my body, I'm going to get mine while you're using up my body. And I don't care if you guys think that looks or feels selfish. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking up here, Stugotz. Let me find it here. Because
you're looking for the tweet he sent.
Yeah, he had a funny back and forth with a tweeter, because the tweeter came at him with the complaints. Here it is. Okay, I've got it. The complaints that fans often have for the holding out athlete. A guy wrote to him, "You're a jackass. How about you shut up and play some football? I hope Tomlin sits you week 1. So, you're a jackass. How about you shut up and play some football? I hope Tomlin sits you week 1. And his response is, I'm confused. Do you want me to play or do you want me to sit? Like, he's just fooling around with it. Usually the guys, in my experience, the holdout, and this is a social media change, in my experience journalistically over my lifetime, the holdout is almost always quiet, trying not to make the mess that inflames for everybody, unless, you're TO and you're doing sit-ups and up.
Right. But he's having fun with it and kind of making it messy, which is different and kind of entertaining.
Here's the rap that he put out on social media.
Hey, B. Yeah, I see y'all, cuz. Big dog, I got pups bigger than air, bud. Are you aware, bud, why I'm not at practice? I'm going to need 17 because 26 is savage. They say the franchise should be enough. Pockets of Professor Clump. Come on, lad. Let me get back to my day. I can't keep showing Buddy love.
Is that good?
I mean, it's all right. It's just I like the content better than the freestyle. But did he indeed? Was there anywhere? I already said it, so I'm out there with it. But the price of the brick just went up. Is that somewhere? Is that somewhere in any of the lyrics?
I mean, he's referencing in that alone. He's saying they're saying 17's enough, but 26 is jersey numbers. The Savage signed the franchise then or whatnot. I'm translating.
Right. Thank you, Mike. But this is it's a new age. Like I'm pro player. I'm perpetually confused by the idea that most of the people who consume sports, they themselves are not employers, and yet they tend to side with management. Many, the grand majority of people listening, if they were in Le'Veon Bell's position, they would want the support of those fans.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But the fan rarely supports the holdout because everyone's aligned. Media, team, and fan interests, everyone's aligned on let's make the Steelers matter, get out on the field, quit being selfish. And when you have that pressure, usually the player bows before that pressure.
He's not bowing.
Not this guy.
No.
And he must be making Pittsburgh so mad. He must be making the city of Pittsburgh so mad by treating this like, nope, pay me mine. I am not showing up for anything until you give me the amount of money that I'm worth at that position where I'm breaking my body for you and the pain is something that's unbearable.
What's he scheduled to make, Mike, with that tender? Is it like $12.5 million? Because he has to be willing, Dan, to forego that. If he really wants to get what he wants, he has to be willing to forego, like he has to be willing to sit.
Oh, I am not.
Which I don't think he'll do. I think eventually he'll just show up.
Maybe he won't. Maybe he will just show up. I'm just interested in this as a play socially because you're burning your PR. There is no way to do what Le'Veon Bell is doing and get the support of your fan base. Like, they want you, if you're going to be that kind of selfish, they want you to be respectfully selfish. That combination of being in it for you and showing everybody, yeah, I don't care, I'm in it for me. That combination is one that will make your fan base turn on you.
His franchise tender is $12.1 million.
And he's great.
Oh, he's amazing.
Phenomenal. He's a super fun player to watch.
Yep.
And I just love, can we get him on? I mean, he's out there talking. Let's see, Allison, go after Le'Veon Bell. I'd like to talk to this guy. Let him know that this is a friendly space, that this is a space where what he's doing,
his work is appreciated.
I do, because you know how much I love that stuff, right?
I know you do, yes.
How alone am I with that one?
What, with loving how Le'Veon Bell is handling this?
Just that Le'Veon Bell would treat something that's a professional setting and he's being immature about it. He's being anarchist. He's being not respectful. He's not following the guidelines and the constructs brought by the people before him.
I don't think you're as alone as you used to be on topics like this, just because I think more and more people are becoming more and more okay with some of the entertainment stuff outside of sports. You're still pretty alone. But I think people also realize that this guy is really, really good. Where people get upset is, man, you're being offered $12.1 million to go play football this year. Go play it.
Well, but that's
I ain't making that kind of money, and I'll never make that money.
No, but this is the question that I'm asking you, and this is why I'm saying that the way that Le'Veon Bell is handling this is almost, while I like it, the worst way to handle it if you want to alienate the people who cheer for you and pay for you. Like, this is the worst way. I like it, but I don't think many do. I don't think many people think it's funny. They think it's disrespectful to the business, the church of football, and, all the stuff that comes with that.
Well, I think Pittsburgh fans are probably freaked out. I think, fans of other teams in that division are probably laughing at it.
Well, give me all the things. Let me do it this way. Let me do it another way. Outside of crime that takes the athlete physically out of the huddle or out of your team's uniform, the valuable athlete, and puts him without freedom behind bars. Outside of that, is there anything worse that an athlete could do to his fan base than hold out and then treat that holdout? Give me the examples of things that can be done that aren't actual crimes, that hold out, so not be available to your team, and then while holding out, make fun of the whole thing.
Right.
Because I'm not sure there's anything that can run the fans off. Like, give me Give me the hypothetical that you guys would imagine. What else could Le'Veon Bell do outside of what he's doing? Like, to me, there are even some crimes. Stugotz. Ray Rice had plenty of support in Baltimore. He did what he did, but people loved Ray Rice, and they started talking about the body of work, and they wanted him back, and he's not nearly as good as Le'Veon Bell. But actually, I found, you know what? I found the one thing that would be worse than the hypothetical athlete holding out and then making a mess while he's holding out, distraction, hurting the team, blah, 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 blah. Being great and being all of those things. I'll pay $5 for my phone going off there.
I thought I heard something.
Keeps happening. How about quitting on your team?
Bat mitzvahs.
Just quitting on your team.
Time for some ads.
Like not being available, like Calvin Johnson?
Yeah, like Calvin Johnson or something like that.
Yeah, same family, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but Calvin Johnson is a good example because Calvin Johnson quit, and there's that. Quit silently, quit elegantly. And then just recently, Calvin Johnson quit and badmouthed the franchise. And then people got really mad at Calvin Johnson. Again, the Lions fans got mad at him again for it's like, man, you're going to quit on us and you're going to bury us on the way out?
I think the Ricky Williams thing is just a different stratosphere.
Kind of like that, yeah.
That was nuclear.
Yeah, just quitting. Well, the starting point, right?
Kneeling for the national anthem. Game over.
What song is that you're singing of your alleged cocky victory? What is this? What is the song?
I have no idea. Victory song.
It's royalty
swagger
free.
Song.
Yeah, swagger song.
Royalty free swagger song.
I'm gonna throw away my phone. I
matter,
don't understand.
man?
I keep turning it down and it keeps going off.
Turn off my
anyway,
phone.
let's go. Let's read the ad. And stop calling me.
Don Batard.
I'm telling you, we are good here. Trust me. I've never let you down.
Stugotz.
It's like living a life. Imagine living your life, and every time you take a step, you know you might step on a landmine. That's my life. I'm married to a minefield, and he doesn't know that he's a minefield. It's just like, trust me, Dan, we got this, while cleaning the chocolate out of his teeth with his tongue.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texter writes in, listening to Dan and the crew talk about the problems with the football salary cap and the disincentive to strike made me think of the replacements. In retrospect, that's a hot piece of player-shaming garbage propaganda that was probably secretly financed by NFL owners. Guillermo, put it on the poll. In retrospect, was the replacements a hot piece of union player-shaming garbage propaganda that was probably secretly financed by NFL owners? Le'Veon Bell, many of you guys are writing in. Many of you are writing in, it'll all be forgotten. It'll all be forgotten if he has 3 touchdowns and 100 yards or 200 yards in the first game. And yes, of course, you're absolutely right. But I'm talking about while you're in it. While you're in it and Le'Veon Bell's body isn't helping your cause and he's fighting for his own body and his own cause, that's what I'm talking about, the unrest before he starts proving his value to you again.
I don't think people will get mad until he starts missing meaningful games. Then they'll start to get really
I think
mad.
they're mad now.
I don't know. Well,
I think they're mad now. He's harming the team. He's not getting his reps. He might not be in shape.
Okay, but are fans watching how many guys who have been injured here in the preseason? I'd actually prefer Le'Veon Bell to just show up regular season week 1. Like at 12:30 on Sunday, just show up and then run the ball 30 times.
With a koozie and a cigarette. Just show up at 12:30 and have
healthy, yes.
He's playing the Browns. He'll go for $150 that way.
Exactly.
I mean, really, Stugotz?
What do you mean?
Well, how do you think Steelers...
By 12:15. I mean...
How do you think Steelers fans feel about what's happening right now?
I think they're concerned. I think everyone kind of feels like Le'Veon Bell is just, when he needs to, will come back. When the games start to become meaningful, he will come back, and he'll take his $12+ million, and he'll play out the season. I think they're concerned. I don't think they're angry yet because he hasn't done anything that has cost them anything yet. He doesn't show up for week 1, then he's in trouble. But he'll be there 12:15. Don't worry about it. And that's when I want him there.
Well, let me ask you this. So this tweet from this guy who's writing in, I'm a Steelers fan, and I'm starting to not want Le'Veon back. He didn't get what he wanted, so now he's raising his price. Is he dumb?
Yeah, and that fan is lying. Because he does want him back, and he'll be the first guy in a Le'Veon Bell jersey, Heinz Field, second row, cheering when he goes for 32 yards against the Browns in the opening carry. Hey, give me a break. You believe that guy? He's starting not to want Le'Veon Bell back? Why? Because he's missing the preseason and practice? Who cares? He's the best running back in football. I want him there 16 times. I don't care. I don't care what my best players do for the remainder of the week. I just want to see you 16 times a year, and that's it. Maybe 20 times a year. That means we've gone to the playoffs and advanced to the Super Bowl. That's about it. That's the only time I want to see you. I don't care what you do with the rest of your time.
Okay, I don't care what you do with the rest of your time. I only want to see you 16 weeks. And this is one of these great places where we corner Stugotz on. He takes no inventory of things that he's said or done in the past. You killed Mark Sanchez for going out to a nightclub after a playoff loss.
Right.
Like, you crushed him.
Yep.
You want your players to care as much as you do.
Go home after the loss. Do what I did. I went home. I put my head in my hands. I was upset. I need him to feel the type of pain that I was feeling as a Jet fan. And Mark Sanchez, make no mistake about it, is no Le'Veon Bell. It's just not.
Okay, not the point. The point being that when it's your player doing this, you'd have a different reaction. If this was a Jets running back doing this is not how you'd be talking about it. That's my point. And my point is that you do care about what your guys are doing outside of the 16 to 20 weeks when he's your player, when he's a guy on your team helping your feel good.
You think I would care if Bilal Powell wasn't in camp right now? Well, I mean, honestly.
Well, I can't name any of the Jets. So
he doesn't care.
I'm talking about like when
I don't want anyone to show up for the Jets this year. No one. I want 0-16.
In Stugotz's defense, Ryan Fitzpatrick had a high-profile holdout last year, and he didn't really care.
Nope. Because it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, hold out all you want.
Okay,
for enough. As long as you want.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to see you 16 times a year. I never want to see you.
Okay, yeah.
But Bell, I'd like to see 16 times a year. I mean, Bilal Powell, Matt Forte, who's 42 years old, whatever. You know what?
He's been on your team for 5 years.
It's not good enough for me to know his first name.
Okay, hold on a second.
He's a sleeper, though. B. Powell. That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Are you stunned that Jets fan Stugotz does not know how to pronounce the name of his running back?
B. Powell.
Don Le Batard.
Stugotz talking about movies is one of the most amazing things you'll ever see. He says he wants to know in a movie's title what a movie's about, and he was just yelping and complaining.
Stugotz.
Well, I mean, Dances with Wolves, which is one of the most overrated movies in the history of movie making. The guy never dances with a wolf. If the title of the movie is going to be Dances with Wolves, then I want to see a guy dancing with wolves. Costner never did it.
Right. You're waiting 3 hours for a guy to dance with a wolf.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Guillermo, can you help me with something, please? Giancarlo Stanton. We are a Miami show, proudly Miami. And Giancarlo Stanton is having one of the most historic seasons ever in the history of South Florida sports. Giancarlo Stanton is a little bit of a statue. I don't know that we know him to have an effervescent personality.
But I don't know if you saw the home run derby when he was calling the home run derby compared to all the other stiffs they brought up there. Effervescent.
Okay, yes. And maybe he's grown some, right? Because he's been a young player. We've seen him grow up around here over the last 7 years, and so he's getting more comfortable with who he is, and evidence of that would be a video that I saw today. And I didn't know what it was, and I did not know what I was watching. I felt a little dirty watching it, and I also felt a little bit aroused and sensual watching it. So help me out here, Guillermo. What the hell was I watching?
So Lexy Panterra is famous for, twerking videos. She has lots of followers on Instagram. She's also a musician, and in her latest video, Giancarlo Stanton is like this apple of her eye, let's say. And she's kind of scantily clad.
Hold on a second.
He's too young.
Over, under, put it on the poll, age of person who uses the phrase apple of your eye. Over under, put it at 95. Age of the person who uses the phrase apple of your eye. Continue.
Well, she's kind of, like all over him. Like she mounts him. She's kind of grinding on him. Then he's like rubbing her arms and stuff. But like like in most situations, he's a bit stiff in the video.
Starched, rigid, and acting is what you meant, yes?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's shirtless, correct? He's shirtless on a bed, yes?
Isn't he always?
He's shirtless on a bed laying down in one scene, then he's kind of like carrying her over his head in another
Put
scene.
this on the poll as well. Should Giancarlo Stanton be allowed to play shirtless?
Oh, absolutely. Would it still say Stanton on his back, though?
Yeah, a tattoo. A tattoo across his back. But I feel like, okay, let me do this two ways. A, should Giancarlo Stanton be allowed to play shirtless? B, does Giancarlo Stanton want to play shirtless? We're going to ask him. Isn't he coming on this week?
He's supposed to be, yeah.
It's a Stugotz thing.
What does that mean? Everybody just
I'm trying to get him on. I mean, what do you want me to do? You guys feel free to reach out.
Okay, fine. No, all right. But Stugotz thought he was coming on yesterday and today.
I thought he was coming on Tuesday, to be honest with you.
All right, we're trying to get Giancarlo Stanton.
He was shooting this video.
Stugotz was very helpful in giving us a window any day between Tuesday and Friday.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll ask him. We'll ask him if he'd like to play shirtless.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But regardless,
maybe we'll ask him when Aaron Rodgers is in the studios with us co-hosting.
Okay, but did it strike you as odd that you're really earning that 40 under 40 award today?
I saw his face.
Oh no, I'm watching the video right now. I mean,
okay,
sexy.
But I know, but what is that? But I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I didn't think Stanton had that in his personality.
Yeah, you gotta let your own joke breathe.
He didn't let it breathe. We had to keep it moving.
Well, you were going somewhere else. I needed like an extra couple of seconds there, then talking about Stanton, but you already talked, and I had to get it. I'm blaming you now. I owe a fine. Jeez, what am I doing?
It's only a $2 fine when you blame me.
I mean, you're supposed to talk. That's what you do.
Anyway, Stan, did it surprise you at all that he was in this video? Like, to me, it was surprising because he doesn't seem like the personality type that's interested. I was going to say in any of this stuff. He's interested in sex, I imagine. I don't know. I'm a little gun shy after that whole Deion Sanders situation. But I'm saying, like, he doesn't seem like someone who'd be interested in, hey, do you want to be shirtless in a video, in a music video, being pawed at as an object of affection? He doesn't seem the type.
I don't know. He does seem the type to me, actually. I would say like 3 or 4 years ago, I would absolutely say no way. But you've seen him, like we've heard him on our show.
Or maybe he's
where his
grown
confidence
into it.
has grown. Yeah,
maybe he's grown into it.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you guys a different question here. Did you see what Albert Breer wrote Monday Morning Quarterback about?
Oh, yeah, this got a lot of people mad.
Well, let me ask you this question because he wrote a story about Monday Morning Quarterback about Colin Kaepernick and 4 anonymous executives explaining how he's not being blackballed from the league. And you've heard me say before how much cowardice there is in that sport at the top. It's just really bothersome to me that these people anonymously are willing to trash a guy or smear a guy and they don't put their name on it. And Albert Breer gives them that opportunity by way of explanatory journalism. Here's why Colin Kaepernick's not being blackballed. And the question I want to ask you is, the last time I heard Albert Breer's name is he was demanding proof from Adam Jones that he had been called the N-word and didn't believe it because he himself had not encountered racism in Boston. And so he's telling Adam Jones, this reporter is telling you that he wants proof from Adam Jones on his claim that he was called the N-word in Boston. And here he's allowing these guys anonymously to trash Colin Kaepernick. Do you find it at all problematic that those two things coexist, that no one else is writing this column where 4 executives are explaining why someone's not being blackballed, and it just happens to be the one guy who was also willing to say to Adam Jones, I don't think you're telling the truth, prove it? Like, don't you find both of them?
I mean, you're asking me if inconsistency bothers me. You're asking the wrong person.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't think that's inconsistency. What I'm asking.
It's kind of inconsistent. I think.
I don't think it's inconsistent. I think it's being consistent. Actually, it's uncomfortably consistent. To me,
but he wants proof from Adam Jones, but he's allowing guys to smear Colin Kaepernick, but he's not asking them to name their name or name their team.
No, the part that's uncomfortably consistent to me is the idea that when the black guy claims something, we need proof, and when the black guy's being wronged, we're going to allow 4 guys anonymously to not offer proof, but anonymously they're going to offer their explanation. That's the part that's consistent. I don't feel like necessarily you were listening to much of anything that I was saying. I mean, I saw you start typing as soon as I said Monday morning quarterback. I saw you go furiously.
I was making sure Albert Breer was the guy who was demanding that out of Adam Jones just to make sure that we were okay to move forward with this conversation. That's what I was doing. And it seems like Breer's all over the place. To be, you can call it inconsistency, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but it seems like the guy's just kind of all over the place, just doing whatever he feels like doing. And I have no issue with that. And I was also watching that Stanton video. Sexy. Stanton.
Let's go. My private jet isn't going to fuel itself.
Once you watch the video, you can't unwatch it.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying.
It's amazing.
This is what I don't get about you.
Here's about Breer with the Stanton video out.
Why don't, instead of waving your sausage fingers all over the place, and you did just a smear job on Albert Breer there where you were just faking it. Just a bunch of words. Yeah. You were making things up. Why didn't you from the beginning just say, I was still watching the Stanton video? A, it would have been funnier.
Right.
B, it would have been less defensive. C, it would have been, and this is the big one that you have trouble with, honest.
What's that?
You want more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz? Tune in, starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Cincinnati Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict had his NFL suspension reduced from 5 to 3 games Wednesday, the league announced. In light of the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, the NFL has canceled tonight's preseason game between the Texans and the Cowboys. The Astros announced they will return to Houston this weekend for a 3-game set with the New York Mets. And finally, Queen Latifah confirmed on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live that a Living Single revival is in the works. This time of year's tough balancing free time with wanting to earn extra money. Get your side hustle on and drive with Uber to earn extra money on your time when it works for you. Sign up today at uber.com/drive now. Certain restrictions apply. See site for complete details. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
You can reach the show at Le Batard Show on Twitter. A texter writes in, are you allowed to talk about Ed Cunningham resigning at ESPN because of football concussions? I don't know whether or not I'm allowed to talk about it, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it. We'll ask for forgiveness, not permission. I read this story in the New York Times, and I did not know Ed Cunningham. And, man, that is some kind of moral conundrum when you are on the rise in broadcasting and you say to yourself, I cannot profit off of what it is I'm seeing on football fields. Many of you have criticized me saying, hey, Le Batard, if you're so worried about football, give back your paycheck. If you're so worried about concussions, stop doing it. And I won't. And I don't feel a moral inconsistency with collecting checks while talking about football and also criticizing football. But this particular person couldn't live with himself, couldn't live with his conscience, the idea that he was profiting off of something that was violent, and causing brain damage.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's not something I would do for certain. That's not shocking to anyone. It's shocking that and it's not something, I know you just said you wouldn't do it either.
It's not anything that anyone has done. Like, this is the first media person to take this particular stance that we know of.
It should be applauded, though. I mean, it's pretty amazing because he's on the rise, earning a good paycheck, and he's refusing to do it, and that should be applauded. I mean, taking a stance, having integrity. I don't know what that feels like, but clearly Ed does.
But you're saying to me it should be applauded as if I was condemning it. Who was condemning it? Like, I think most people. I don't think.
Do you think most people applaud that? Because I think a lot of people sit there and go, "Geez, Ed, really? Come on, it's dumb. You got a good job. You're on the rise. You're earning great money. Stay in the game." Serious.
Wow. It feels to me like I like that some people who think that way might be sitting right next to me and just camouflage their opinion to give a more popular opinion that might be more accepted. We're not on television, so when you say I'm not naming names and you point both of your sausage fingers at your own face.
I was trying to get something off my index finger.
That is not something that worked visually. Why are you still doing it? We are not on television. Why? Is that why you're doing it? You're doing it. You're
doing what, Dano?
Okay. All right. Very good.
I mean, I think a lot of people would say that.
I love when Ronda... Mike, was Ronda Rousey the one who called Stugotz out on that move of his? A lot of people would say he uses it as a shield. As he rushes into battle, his shield is, a lot of people would say. Yeah, right. There's a huge battlefield. I want you to imagine yourself and your armor. You are wrapped in, a lot of people would say, so that you will never get hurt. It's just a lot of people who would say the same things that you actually believe. I love that question. I think I've got this right, even though my memory's going, or it might be the medication. Ronda Rousey was on with us, and Stugotz said, what do you say to the critic who says, and then what happened afterward is Ronda Rousey said, well, I think that's you. I think the critic who says that is you.
Call me out.
You
it happened before, and it's never happened since. I mean, she was the only one. I stopped doing it because I felt like she exposed me.
I wonder, as it relates to acts of protests, do you have to be more famous for it to matter? Do you have to be more famous than...
I think so, yeah, unfortunately.
Like if Bob Costas does it. If Bob Costas gives up the Sunday night gig and he's been very critical of concussions. He's asked Roger Goodell but if Bob Costas were to stand down on Sunday Night Football, the most popular show in America.
Well, what's different is Costas is certainly a bigger name. Cunningham played football, played in college, played in the NFL. It would take John Gruden or someone like that. That would have a massive impact. Someone who's played football at a high level, big name, NFL coach.
I think if Bob Costas stepped down from that job over the morality of concussions, it would be a seismic, reverberating story. That guy is the broadcaster for our times on America's most popular television show.
Sure. I'm just trying to think of the guy that would have the greatest, or the person that would have the greatest impact if they decided they didn't want to earn a paycheck covering a sport because they were uncomfortable covering that sport.
All right, let's listen to Stugotz trying to rush into battle with his armor and being met by Ronda Rousey.
What do you say to people who say if you're the UFC's biggest draw, the biggest star, that the UFC is in a bad place right now, needs more stars?
Well, the same thing that I think about people that quote some people. It's usually them stating their own opinion but don't want to take any heat for it.
She was such a good fighter back then. Just disoriented Stugotz in the middle of everything that was happening there.
How many times have I used that device?
All the time. You hide behind it all the time, and that's the only time that someone has unmasked you. You stood there naked and shriveled in front of her with your eyes looking like deer in the headlights. Let's go ahead and play this sound that I promised you 2 days ago, maybe 3. This show tends to wander, get lost, and we forget about things that we talked about. I am sure we will get back to Divas at some point in the show today. But in the wandering earlier this week, I told you about some uncomfortable sound that I have still not heard, but Mike says is funny. Mike has heard it. It is from WEEI in Boston. Tom Brady is on there. Mike, help me set this up here. What is funny about this sound? Is it just pure awkwardness? Is there any funny to be found outside of the awkwardness?
Plenty of funny to be found only in how awkward this soundbite is. It is 2 minutes of just uncomfortable radio.
Okay, we don't mind that around here. We'll sink into it. We enjoy that. So let's see here whose side you're on. Let's start this new game. We're just starting it right now. Right here, we're breaking the industry, changing everything, pioneering. Whose side are you on?
Mayweather said that the two of you were, quote, he said, very close friends. Would you say that's an accurate representation of your relationship?
No, I met him a couple times, so I think he's a great fighter. That was a great fight the other night.
Did you watch? Did you order it? Did you pay for it?
No, I saw it the next morning. I was had a friend's wedding I was at, so it was a fun night for me. I had a lot of my friends in town, and one of my great friends got married, so it was a fun night.
And were you rooting? Were you and your friends, rooting for Mayweather?
No, I was at a wedding.
I know, but were you hoping? I mean, I was just saying at the break, I don't find either guy very likable. I was watching it last night saying, I don't care.
But that's what I said last week when he said it. We were talking about it. I said, I can't imagine that Brady, I've met you 1 or 2 times. Our dealings with you seem like a good guy. I mean, you must know about Mayweather's history of domestic violence. I can't imagine you'll be friends with a guy like this.
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times. Like I said, I think he's a great fighter.
Yeah.
And you FaceTime with him, though. He made sure everyone heard about that. Did you just wish him luck, or just want to wish him luck?
I'm not sure where we're going with it.
Well, my thing, I just want you, because a guy, I mean, he was on ESPN, was all over the place last week. If somebody like that said I was really good friends with him, I'd want to respond and say, no, I'm not. And you did. That's all. I just wanted to get your side of it. They played it 5 million times on ESPN. I didn't think it was, if you're legitimately not friends with a guy, I don't think it's fair to not give you a chance to respond to it.
Yeah, I said I met him a couple times.
Yeah, no, I understand. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Man. Some good radio right there.
We break it down next.
That was the sound of the day. It is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade the shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today.
Payday! Payday! It is payday!
This whole place smells like Tostitos. Everyone's got it on their breath. It's amazing.
Great.
They sent us some Tostitos. And, I mean, I can smell you coming from 10 to 20 yards away with the Tostitos on your breath. Like, everyone here is just, they sent us bags, and you can't eat just one of those. So.
Well, we're down here in South Florida, so they sent us the dolphin bags, right? Oh, so good. Yeah, the dolphin bags. Fantastic. I mean, football's right around the corner. Actually, I mean, college football tonight, but the NFL, a week from tonight?
Give me some of that.
It's a week from tomorrow? What's today?
Thursday.
A week from tomorrow? A week from today? A week from today.
Well.
Wow, pigskin. And listen, there's no better way to enjoy football. Guys, what's the best way to enjoy football? What do you need? What is the essential you need to enjoy football properly on Sunday night, or Monday night?
What I'm eating right now.
Boy. You like the salsa? I like a little nacho cheese. You go salsa?
Nacho cheese, yeah.
I go nacho cheese.
Again, we mentioned this earlier in the week. Kudos for the lime scoops Tostitos. Been begging for that for years.
Yep.
Genius idea.
These bags are really cool,
it's
man.
got my team on it.
Tostitos chips are great, and we all know that. But the bags, the official chip and dip of the NFL, created lucky bags for select NFL teams this season. They participated in team traditions with the hope that doing so would bring luck to each team. They raised a 12th man flag for the Seahawks bag. Very cool. Waved the terrible towel for the Steelers bags and gave Bronco bags a mile-high salute. I wonder if they did a Jets bag. There's nothing they could do that would provide the Jets with any sort of luck. I wonder if they did. In fact, I would take the bag, a Jet bag, and I'd put it over my head and poke out the eyes, and I'd wear it to a game.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Actually, Tostitos should get on that. Current NFL players Dak Prescott, Jadeveon Clowney, Joe Flacco, and Aaron Donald all participated to make their team's bags lucky. Visit Tostitos.com to see how Tostitos made your team's lucky bags and pick one up at a store near you.
Papi knows best. Stay tuned to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show on demand in the ESPN app, plus our Miami Only Hour that airs before the show, and now you can subscribe to our Best of Podcasts. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app.
Roy just put in front of me an OTL report. It is NFL retakes control of brain search as touted alliance ends, and Fainaru Wada and Fainaru are on this story. And you don't want them near your stories. near your sport. You don't want them.
If those two are on your story, on your scent, something bad is going on.
You don't want them around anything that you're doing. I just always find fascinating this conflict that ESPN has where they're business partners with this entity that they also have to report on, and all of this concussion stuff makes it complicated to have this partnership. So now ESPN is reporting, and the Dateline is London, since announcing a $100 million commitment to concussion research last year. The NFL has funded just one study examining CTE, the brain disease that has shaken pro football. But that study isn't focused on football players. It's focused on jockeys. The project, run out of a 4-story brick building in northwest London, aims to find out why high concussion rates in horse racing don't translate into deteriorating brain function in later life, a question that many scientists believe has little to do with football. The study is led by an Australian researcher who once described American coverage of CTE as carry on and hoo-ha, and a British doctor whose concussion presentations sometimes have included flippant jokes and video of tumbling jockeys set to slapstick music. At one presentation, the widow of a CTE victim, a former British soccer star, was so offended she stormed out of the room. So ESPN is sending its investigative dudes to London. Go read that story.
What do you make of that? Like the fact they're doing it on,
which part? Which part? You just threw all of it back in my lap, and so I was just laughing.
Well, you've done that to me before, so
that's why my laughter. That's why I'm laughing.
Right.
You just took.
How's it feel?
I read all of that and gave it to you, and then you just threw it back at me like if I was reading too fast, and you said, "What do you make of that?" And you just threw the whole thing right back on me. All the respite I had from talking was, "What do you make of that?" That's all the respite I had.
So what do you make of it? Answer the question.
I'm just wondering, what was your thinking process while I was reading?
Why are we doing studies on jockeys? That's all I could think of. And why is the NFL only paid for one study? That's all I could think of.
Okay, go read the story.
So what do you think now?
Let's move on.
Well,
let's go back to
people
what we
are
were
listening. They tune in. They want to hear eloquent Dan Le Batard, plugged in journalist, very good with words. His thoughts. You read the story. It's okay. Let's move on. Gave you my feelings on it.
You did.
It's my character, and now I'm just wondering if you want to expand on it.
You didn't give me any of your feelings on it. Regardless, let's get back.
Jockeys don't play football. It doesn't add up. Are they trying to prove, are they trying to show you, hey, look, in this sport, CTE doesn't do anything long term, and therefore it doesn't do anything in our sport? What are they doing here? Your thoughts?
Let's go back to what we were laughing about in the last segment.
Teasing it. That's fine. 12:30?
My thoughts, 12:30.
Nice.
12:30 Eastern. So, Tom Brady, that was a piece of art. Everything I was watching there, I imagined Brady in the pocket, sort of moving his feet ever so slightly and making that 300-pound menace just slide by him. Like he was just moving around. Like what I was visualizing is Tom Brady being interviewed while in full uniform, in the pocket, feet moving, tapping the ball. So that's what I was hearing there. And so the hosts of that show, they came after him pretty hard, but all of it's interesting to me for this reason. You've got athlete who will not say anything, and they are badgering him with 5 or 6 questions that are tougher questions than Tom Brady would like. But let's think for a moment about what is passing for tough question.
Right.
Tom, are you friends with this guy? Like the idea that Tom Brady would see controversy around every turn in a way that would make him not even answer that question in a way that was direct.
You know, I love to read between the lines. His inability to answer it quickly and definitively, to me, suggests that they're good friends. You don't have to think about it. You're either friends with someone or you're not.
I don't care about that portion of it. Okay?
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't care about whether they're friends or not. The idea that Tom Brady, at this point in his life, with the successes that he's had in his life, that Tom bleeping Brady would be afraid to have an association with Floyd Mayweather that was a little too close.
I was at a wedding.
To me, I marvel at all of it, that I would think that you arrive at a place in adulthood when you've been this famous for this long and had this many successes and powers stacked atop each other so that you have real confidence and conviction. You can go on a radio show and say whether Floyd Mayweather is your friend or not.
You would think, man, but this image has been sculpted over many, many years.
Oh, but to be beholden to it must be a prison, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Right, Tom? I mean, I know, man. You're hurting.
Yeah.
I feel for you, man.
Yeah.
If you guys cheated during Deflategate, would you just answer that question by just giving me a long silence and then maybe a noise at the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting a confirmation like that, nor was that the sound I was expecting you to play.
Tom, you're also lying.
Don't you find that interesting, though, Stugotz? Seriously, that Tom Brady wouldn't be strong enough and have earned enough to just be able to talk freely about whether or not Floyd Mayweather is someone who's in his life.
I mean, you would think so, Dan. First off, the city of Boston would not care, right? If he comes out and says, hey, yeah, I'm friends with Floyd Mayweather, anyone going to care?
I'm not sure we're going with this.
It's just,
but I think naturally, you would think that Tom Brady, yes, you would think he has done enough, accomplished enough, where he'd be confident enough to say, you know what, yep, he's my friend.
But it just speaks to Aaron Rodgers. We talked to Mina Kimes about this. She wrote this story about Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers wants to be seen, wants to be understood, is entering this next phase of his life where he has dismissed some of the things that he used to believe in and is now as a man searching for adulthood and wisdom and things outside of football. And he juxtaposed that with this. And he, this week, decided to summon what I imagine he believes is courage, is coming out and publicly taking whatever comes with saying, yes, Colin Kaepernick is being blackballed. Like, he's calculated enough to know that when he says that, it's going to become news and we are going to discuss it. He is entering 33 years old. Aaron Rodgers is entering this form of adulthood. Is Tom Brady stunted on this front? Like, just not now. He doesn't have to give us anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, to be afraid to give you anything.
Right. It does seem like a miserable existence. You're right. To be trapped in that. To be trapped in your image.
But he's not. What I'm saying is he's so strong.
But then clearly he feels like he is because he's not answering anything.
He must. It is oddly confusing to me.
I mean, you're walking around everywhere your entire life and giving answers like this.
I was at a wedding.
They asked him if he was rooting for Floyd Mayweather, and he wouldn't answer it.
I was at a wedding.
But you know what I mean? Like, what? Floyd, he got time. Think about what I am saying. One of the most powerful and respected athletes in America cannot tell you what his rooting interest was in a boxing match everybody was watching Saturday.
I'm not sure we're
go to hell.
Hey, buddy, you are listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
I was at a wedding.
I wish people could see how that happened. It's just me. It's me. The way this happens is me saying to Mike, I am at a wedding. It's funny musically. See if you can do something with that. And so he puts in the bare minimum effort and produces this for you.
I was at a wedding.
and then he announces himself as one of the 40 best executives under 40, according to thebiglead.com sports executives. This is so bad.
I was at a wedding.
You told him like 5 seconds ago.
I know, but do better.
In 5 seconds?
I was at a wedding. I was at a wedding.
Here's your SportsCenter update.
You guys, the thing that you guys have done that is really, it's magical and it's amazing, and I salute you on, is you guys have managed to make it these situations where the worse it is and the worse you are, the better everyone likes it. And I always get checkmated on these situations.
Wedding.
Thank you. Excellent.
I mean, you hate that about me, right?
Yeah, most, yes. Are you done with your Sports Center or no?
I don't even think you've started
yet.
All right, well, let's go.
About?
Let's go.
I mean, we're doing stuff here. I was at a wedding. Cincinnati Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict had his NFL suspension reduced from 5 to 3 games Wednesday, the league announced.
I was at a wedding.
In light of the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey,
I was at a wedding.
The NFL has canceled tonight's preseason game between the Texans and Cowboys. The Astros announced they will return to Houston this weekend for a 3-game series versus the Mets.
I was at a wedding.
And finally, in a promo for the Season 2 premiere of Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party,
I was at a wedding.
Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart
I was at a wedding.
recreated the iconic pottery scene
I was at a wedding.
from Ghost.
I was at a wedding.
Really?
I want to see that now.
No,
I
you
need to see
want to
that.
see that? That doesn't
Yes.
sound erotic.
Put
That
it on the
sounds-
poll. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to see that? Do you want to see Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg recreate the famous pottery scene in Ghost? Yes or no?
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Wedding.
A guy writes in here because we've been playing the sound here of Tom Brady just giving the hosts of WEEI nothing. Why he says nothing. And this guy writes in, it's because Tom Brady is a smart conservative who knows that SJWs and liberals like yourself at ESPN rip people for their political correctness for every word. You losers melt over words, so Tom protects his every word. Liberal tard. What I'm saying to you is, if that is even so about Tom Brady, he shouldn't be in hiding. He's got the power and the success, if he believes in things, to move mountains with the power and success and the belief. So give us an opinion once in a while on something. But many of you don't care. He's excellent. The mythology is enough, and you don't need anything else from your athlete. I find it frustrating that Tom Brady has been this great for this long, and I feel like I know nothing about who he is as a person, and I'd like to know something about who he is as a person to accent his greatness.
I fall on the side of not caring. I mean, if he doesn't want to give it to us, then I don't need it. Like, I'm not craving it. I don't care what Tom Brady has to say about anything, to be honest with you.
Okay, it just seems like wasted power. It really does. If he believes whatever he believes.
But he's worked hard to have the ability to have this power, and I'm okay with him not, using it however he wants to use it or not use it in this case. He's not using it at all.
Okay, no, but I'm saying that's often the extremes, how you use the power. We're talking about being able to answer the simplest of questions with something that resembles interesting. But, okay, look, man, people are different. Aaron Rodgers did that piece with Mina Kimes because he said, I want to be seen. Maybe Tom Brady doesn't want to be seen.
What's the benefit of
I
him
just don't
saying-
understand.
But what's the benefit? If he says, yes, I'm friend, how does it benefit Tom Brady if he says, yes, I'm good friends with Floyd Mayweather?
But I'm saying, though,
it creates a storm for him.
But if you're Tom Brady, why even do a weekly radio hit?
Well,
but what I'm saying is, if you're going to be that person who doesn't want to answer anything about anything, why even do any interviews? You don't need us. Tom Brady doesn't need anybody in the media anymore, not for 1 second. Hell, he's not even the big breadwinner in his family.
Yeah, one word answer. Quiche.
All right. Cash. He needs more quiche.
Seems pretty simple, Dan. I mean, why do you think he's doing? You think he enjoys those two dopes?
What are you doing?
What do you mean? Hey, he's doing it to get paid.
I didn't even know. Who are the two dopes?
Kirk and Callahan.
I didn't even know. Oh, dopes isn't strong enough.
Payday, payday, it is payday.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
No. College football season starts this week. Get your bottles of Dr. Pepper ready. And yes, you'll need more than 2 of them. Here's Stugotz to tell you about the Dr. Pepper.
Yes, college football season is here. It's that time of year filled with coolers, cases, and cups of delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper that leaves us all craving for more. I love an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. More big hits, strip sacks, flea flickers, onside kicks, pick sixes, tailgates, house parties, homecomings, rivalries, overtimes, double OTs, double threat quarterbacks. Comebacks, upsets, or any excuse to storm a field and tear down a goalpost. Others crave 5-star recruits, cupcake schedules, Cinderella stories, a top 25 ranking, and, of course, the college football playoff invented by Mr. Ice Cold Dr. Pepper himself, Larry Culpepper. Then there are those weirdly specific cravings, like a solid 50-50 raffle, the corn dogs at concessions, starting a chant, saying hi to your mom on the Jumbotron, a good old-fashioned mascot fight, or maybe a fresh new koozie to keep your Dr. Pepper nice and cold. Grab some at your local store today and have yourself an excessive celebration with college football's greatest tradition. Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.